the chairman of the Broadway League, Nick Scandales.
Thank you, Ted. It is my privilege to do the final Tony Honor for Excellence in the Theater this evening. In 1994, Freddie Gershon conceived Music Theater International's Broadway Kids Broadway Junior program, which introduces musical theater in 30 and 60-minute versions of Broadway shows to elementary and middle school students. Since then, over 70,000 productions have taken place in the United States, involving over 4 million children. In recognition of his many decades as one of Broadway's greatest champions and the greatest champion of the Broadway musical, and for bringing musical theater to millions of young people, he is a one-man audience development company. This guy does it all, and we owe him so much. Tonight, we present him the Tony Honor for Excellence in the Theater, Freddie Gershon.
Thank the Tony Committee, and the idea that I would be honored for doing what I do anyway and just love what I do every day is a remarkable experience. Artie called it the icing on the cake. To me, it's the cherry on top. And when I read the definition of what this award, what this honor is all about, it said it's for people, achievements of an individual that does not fit into any of the competitive categories. I don't know who was on the committee. I don't know what you knew about me. But were you ever right? Okay, I tried to be a musician. I played buttons and bows from hearing it on radio. It was on the 5 black keys, the pentatonic scale of a piano. My mother was convinced I was Wolfgang Amadeus Gershon. I was immediately whisked off to Juilliard. I stayed there knowing full well that I was completely inadequate compared to the other people at Juilliard. My mother, on the other hand, mistook flamboyance for talent. I then also went to the Art Students League. I saw a lot of new people, which was very exciting at that age. I did still lifes. And then I ran to the Museum of Modern Art, and I saw the newest, latest things they acquired, and I decided I will be, well, let's say call it, I give an homage to what I saw, so that the teachers would think I had a great imagination. But I knew in my heart of hearts, I was not an artist. I then went to a Hunter Playhouse. I studied acting. I got a lot of laughs. I was a ham, but that doesn't mean that you're really talented or know what it's like to be a good actor. I also wrote songs, and Donnie Kirshner, the father of Ricky Kirshner, who's producing tomorrow night's show, was my publisher. And there I was with Carole King, who was then known as Carol Klein, and Neil Sedaka, and I had people laughing, but I was a terrible songwriter. And Don Kirshner, with great tact and diplomacy after 3 or 4 months, said, have you thought about going to medical school or law school? And I went to law school. And I learned about something that was very arcane at the time, which was called an intellectual property right. And I was mesmerized by that world, because the idea of being a lawyer just seemed so awful. And I didn't have the heart to tell my family, but I needed extra money in law school, so I was a cocktail pianist at a restaurant that is no longer in existence, but it was on 65th and 3rd, called the Sign of the Dove. The owner said, you have to try one night, and then I will let you know whether or not you are employed. And I tried. And I had an incredible repertory of great show tunes, old standards, and I just kept going all night long. I just kept at it. And at the end of the evening, he congratulated me. He told me I had the job. He told me I was terrific, except there was one condition. If I ever sang again, I'd be fired. So, I can't sing. I'm officially a klutz. I can't dance. I can play the piano, but that does not a pianist make. I don't belong in any category other than a category which isn't competing for the Tonys, which is tomorrow. In the 80s, I took off time from all work and I actually wrote a book, thinking maybe I could become a book writer because I love authors, and I thought the key to these great musicals is the book. I wrote a book. The book actually sold a lot of copies. But I don't remember the royalties. I don't even care about what I made from the book. What I care about is a review which came from a very highly regarded reviewer in a very important publication. And the review was very short and succinct, unlike me. And the review said, Freddie Gershon's writing, when compared to Jacqueline Suzanne, makes Jacqueline Suzanne seem like William Faulkner. So I can't write lyric, and I can't write music, and I can't perform, and I can't sing, and I can't do lighting and costume or anything else. And I was in a quasi-retired state in the 80s, fortunately, as a result of lucking out in the movie business. And I began to think about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And fortuitously, at that very same time, Music Theater International, which had been started by the great orchestrator Don Walker and by Frank Lesser, was being sold by CBS. It had language. I had a vision for what I could do with it. I felt I could bring my own creativity, my own vision to it, even though I was not personally talented in the traditional sense of the word. And so I shaped the company based on everything I learned about motion picture promotion and marketing, based on everything I learned about the recording business, based on trying to learn. I went to every convention, hear what teachers wanted, hear what the schools wanted. I went to church groups, I went to community theaters, and I realized there was a gargantuan universe, and they're really important because they are the future, just like opening doors. But I did not want the people I served to be just in the audience. I thought they'll go to the audience ultimately, but I want them to be experiential. I wanted them to get out on the stage, take the risk, sing the songs, dance, and put on their own versions of the shows. And I had two allies in this impossible quest, because I was like a salmon swimming upstream against a sea of naysayers, the educational community and bureaucracy, and the SATs and test scores and all of that. And those two people were my wonderful wife, Myrna Gershon, who never gave up on my dream, and one member of your community who got it. And he was one of two men who told me, the audience is aging, musical theater will atrophy, something has to be done. And that was Stephen Sondheim. And he not only supported me, he lent his name, he lent his credibility, he physically schlepped to Kansas City for me, with me, to address music educators. And that was us. And all we can do is dream. And now there's all of those productions you heard about, and all of the kids have changed, and a lot of them have shown up on Equity and Broadway, and everyone who's in the casting business sees they've done Annie Jr. or this Jr. or Fiddler Jr. or whatever the show is. And we're blessed that we also have the Disney relationship, and those are wonderful because the children recognize those titles, but they really don't know what Guys and Dolls is, but they certainly know Aladdin Beauty and the Beast. And so my life was blessed, and my life is designed to do what our business is all about, which is keep Broadway healthy, alive, and vibrant. My take was, I can only work on what do the authors create. Because without the book, the music, and the lyric, if that stops, if new people are not nurtured in that field, if that world of creativity is over, then there's no room for the directors, there's nothing to direct, there's nothing to choreograph, there's nothing to design for, there's no acting for the actors if that doesn't continue to grow and develop and grow and develop. And so it's been my privilege to be with these people, to help resuscitate them when they're down, to give them honest rapport back and forth, and become a comrade with them. And we work together and we collaborate, and that's a privilege because I admire them, I live their lives vicariously, and now I'm getting an honor for doing what I love doing. What I think defines me, but I didn't write it because it's succinct, so you know I didn't write it, and it is also uses what Arthur Lawrence used to say, an economy of words. And this is from a show that Sondheim wrote, and if anyone did what I did to his lyric, I would probably sue for a restraining order on his behalf, but I made a few changes, but this is actually from a song we wrote. I had just enough talent to know, but I hadn't the talent. And if the talent that I do have is the nurturing other talent, then succeed or fail, I will see them sad. Thank you very much.